There's a thought that's popping into your head right now. You didn't choose it. It just came. And here's a question that few people ask themselves slowly enough. If you didn't choose this thought, who did? Most people live their entire lives thinking that they're thinking. But neuroscience tells a different story. Quietly, without judgment, as a fact. Your brain made a decision 300 milliseconds before you realized you were making a decision. That's not scary. It's the beginning of understanding. Because if someone else has been the director of your inner life all this time, then you can meet that director. You can talk to them. And you can, very gently, rewrite the script.
Welcome. If you're here, you're probably tired. Not from work, not from people, from yourself. From the voice that won't stop. From the body that's tense even when there's no reason. From the feeling that you're always a little off, a little wrong, a little not enough. This video won't motivate you. It won't tell you, just breathe, or think positively. Instead, we'll go inside. Slowly, without rushing, as if we had all the time in the world. Because the nervous system doesn't change with pressure. It changes with safety. And right now, here, in this sound, in this light, you are safe. Just be with it.
Imagine a building, very old, built long before you. It has a basement, dark, windowless, where the most ancient mechanisms live. Survival, danger, hunger, fear. There's a middle floor, where emotions are born, where memory smells, sounds, and feels, where the past sometimes looks like the present. And there's a top floor, bright, with large windows, where awareness resides, where you can think, choose, understand. Your nervous system is this building. And when you're anxious, the elevator is stuck. You're trapped on the middle floor or in the basement. And the top floor, with its clarity and peace, seems unreachable. But the elevator isn't broken. It's just stuck. And we, very carefully, will move it.
Chronic anxiety isn't a personality trait. It's not a weakness. It's not something you chose. It's an unfinished wave. Imagine the ocean. The wave rises, high, powerful. It should reach the shore, break, dissolve into foam, but something stops it halfway. It doesn't break, it hangs. And so, for years, there lives a wave in the body which can't end. This is chronic anxiety. Not thoughts, not imagination. A physiological reaction that was triggered and never received the signal. That's it. You can stop. Your body hasn't forgotten. It's just waiting, waiting for permission. And that permission we will begin to give right now.
Your brain is an incredibly intelligent organ. So intelligent, in fact, that it has learned to predict danger before you even see it. This is called predictive processing. The brain doesn't wait for events. It builds a model of the world based on the past and tests reality against this model. If there was a lot of danger in the past, the model becomes chronically wary. The brain begins to see threats where there aren't any. Hearing criticism in a neutral tone of voice, feeling rejection in the second long pause before responding. This isn't paranoia. It's a hyper-effective defense mechanism that's a little outdated, like a program written for another world, for a world that no longer exists. And here's what's important. the program can be updated. Not deleted, not broken. Update. Very, very soft.
Somewhere deep inside your brain, there's a tiny structure the size of an almond. It works around the clock. No days off, no vacations, not a single second of rest. Its sole purpose is to keep you alive. It scans everything around you, every sound, every face, every change in the air. And if anything suggests danger, even remotely, it presses the red button. Before you can even think, before you can even notice, in hundredths of a second. This is the amygdala. It's not evil, it's not the enemy. It's a loyal guardian who learned its lessons long ago, in childhood, in adolescence, in moments when you were truly afraid. And it's been keeping watch ever since, not knowing that that war is long over, that the world around you has changed, that you're safe now. She just didn't get the message. And our task today is to very quietly, very patiently, convey it to her.
There's a part of you that can do everything. It can think ahead, weigh, choose, stop. It can say, wait. It's not as scary as it seems. This is the prefrontal cortex, the front part of your brain, the youngest, the most human. It's a true director. But here's the problem. When the amygdala presses its red button, the prefrontal cortex switches off. Not partially, almost completely. Blood flow is rerouted, from thinking to action, from analysis to survival, from choice to automatism, in milliseconds. And you're left with a reaction without choice, with an emotion without context, with a body that has already decided before you even have a chance to ask. It's called amygdala hijacking, a control hijack. And with chronic anxiety, this hijacking happens again and again and again, until the director forgets he's even a director. But he hasn't forgotten. He just waits for silence. Enough silence to return to his chair. Stephen Porges, a neuroscientist, has spent decades listening to the nervous system. And this is what he heard. You don't have just one stress response. There are three. And they activate one after the other, like the floors of a building, from top to bottom. The first floor is the highest. This is social engagement. This is where you smile, talk, listen. This is where you feel connected to others. This is where you feel good. When it becomes unsafe, the elevator goes down. The second floor. Fight or flight. Your heart speeds up. Your muscles tense. You're ready to act. Adrenaline. Cortisol. Readiness. If that doesn't help, the elevator goes even deeper. The third floor. The oldest. Freezing. Collapse. Shutting down. This is when the body decides, too much. I'm leaving. Numbness. Emptiness. Dissociation. The feeling of looking at your life through glass. With chronic anxiety, you live between the second and third floors, almost never on the first. But the first floor is still there. It's waiting, warm, alive, ready to welcome you back. Imagine a soldier. He received an order. Hold your position. Don't retreat. The war is on. The enemy could appear at any moment. And he holds his ground. For years. Because no one came to tell him, it's over. He can go home. This is not a metaphor. In 1974, in the jungles of the Philippines, a Japanese soldier was found, Hiro Onoda. He fought for 29 years after the end of World War II. Alone, in the jungle,
in full combat readiness. He wasn't crazy. He was loyal. Loyal to the last order he received. Your nervous system is that same soldier. Once upon a time, something frightening happened. Your body triggered a reaction. Full, real, necessary. But the signal to end, nothing came. And the body continues. The muscles are slightly tense. The breathing is slightly shallow. The gaze is slightly scanning. The jaw is slightly clenched. All the time, every day. This is not anxiety as a character trait. This is an unfinished command, and the command can be completed. Gently, respectfully, as one salutes a loyal soldier before sending him home.
Antonio Damasio, a neurobiologist, studied people with damage to a certain part of the brain. Strange cases. Their intelligence was completely intact. They could reason, analyze, plan. But they couldn't make decisions, even the simplest ones. What to order for lunch became an hour-long philosophical discussion without an answer. Because they didn't have somatic markers, body markers. These are signals the body sends to the brain before a thought has time to form. A slight tightness in the chest? Bad. Warmth in the stomach? Good. Cold hands? Careful. The body knows first, always. And with chronic anxiety, this system becomes distorted. The body begins to label safe as dangerous, neutral as threatening, new as scary. Not because you're thinking wrong, but because your body marks were written in a different time, by a different experience, for a different world. And here's what's important to know. The body can be retrained, not by persuasion, not by willpower, only through new experiences. Slow, repeated, safe. That's exactly what we're doing right now. When you're doing nothing, your brain doesn't rest. It switches to a different program. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network. This is what happens when you're riding the subway and looking out the window, when you're lying down before bed and thoughts just start to wander, when you're washing the dishes and suddenly find yourself in a conversation from 3 years ago. The default mode network is your internal movie theater. It runs automatically, without your permission. And here's what's important to know about this movie theater. It doesn't show random movies. It shows things that are left unfinished, undigested, unresolved. Conflicts without resolution, relationships without closure, fears without answers. The brain plays them over and over again, not to torment you, and to find a solution. It's called rumination. And with chronic anxiety, this movie theater is open 24/7. No intermission, no credits, no exit. But there is a way out. It's always been there. It's not inside the film. It's where you notice you're watching a film.
When you were very young, you couldn't choose. You couldn't leave. You couldn't explain. You couldn't wait until morning and decide everything with a fresh mind. You could only adapt. And you adapted. Brilliantly. If someone unpredictable was around, you learned to read their mood by the sound of their footsteps in the hallway. If your feelings were rejected, you learned not to feel, or to feel quietly, inside, unnoticed. If love came with pain, you learned to expect pain every time love came. This isn't trauma in the grand sense of the word. It's the quiet adaptation of a smart little creature to a world it didn't choose. And these adaptations became the first firmware, the first code, the first director. He wrote his rules before you had words for what was happening, before you could say, I'm scared. I'm lonely. I need help. He wrote the rules with his body, with tension, with breathing, with distance, with silence. And now, that little director still sits inside, still applying the rules of that world to this one. He's not evil. He just tried really hard for a really long time. And maybe it's time to tell him, I see you. I know how much you've done. You can rest. I can handle this on my own.
There's one moment, one very quiet moment, that changes everything. Not dramatically, not instantly, but irreversibly. This is the moment when you notice that you notice. When instead of I'm anxious, there appears I notice anxiety. Do you hear the difference? In the first case, you are the anxiety. You are dissolved in it. You are a wave that doesn't know that it is water. In the second case, you are the one looking at the wave. And this distance, one word, one comma, is the beginning of freedom. Buddhist monks call this mindfulness. Cognitive therapists call it diffusal, separation from thought. Neuroscientists call it activation of the medial prefrontal cortex. But they all say the same thing. About that moment, when the observer separates from the observed. When you understand, I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. I am not my reactions. I am the one who notices them. And this observer was never anxious. Never. He simply watched. Always calm. Always here. You have always been here.
Until the 1990s, scientists were certain the adult brain is unchangeable. What formed in childhood remains forever. Neural connections are like concrete, frozen, permanent, immobile. They were wrong, and this discovery is one of the most important in the history of neuroscience. The brain changes throughout life until the last day. Every new experience blazes a new trail. Every repeated thought deepens an existing groove. Every moment of conscious presence, literally, physically, changes the architecture of your brain. This is called neuroplasticity. And here's what it means for you. The anxious pathways in your brain are not a death sentence. They are a habit. Deep, long-standing, habitual, but habit. And habits change. Not quickly, not easily, not from a single decision, but they change. Neurons that fire together, wire together. And the opposite is also true. Pathways that stop being used gradually weaken, lose their power, become quieter. You can't erase old paths, but you can lay new ones alongside them, quieter, warmer, safer. And one day, the new path will become the default path.
There's a concept in trauma psychology that explains a lot. The window of tolerance. Imagine a vertical scale. At the top is hyperarousal, anxiety, panic, chaos. Your heart is pounding, your thoughts are racing, your body can't stop. At the bottom is hypoarousal, numbness, emptiness, shut down. You feel nothing, you want nothing, just no. And in between is a narrow band, a window. Here you can think, Feel but not choke. Be present but not dissolve. Here you can learn. Here you can change. With chronic anxiety, this window becomes very narrow. You live on the edge, always close to the top or the bottom, almost never in the center. But the window can be expanded, slowly, gradually, through safe experience, through breathing, through presence, through this moment, right now. Every time you notice, I've stepped out of the window a little, and return, the window gets wider, by 1 millimeter, unnoticeably, but real.
There's a nerve. One nerve. It starts in the brainstem, where the skull ends and the neck begins, and it goes down, through the throat, through the heart, through the lungs, all the way to the belly. It touches almost everything that's important inside you. It's the vagus nerve. Vagus. And it does something absolutely amazing. It carries information in both directions. 80% of its fibers run from the bottom up, from the body to the brain. Not from the brain to the body, from the body to the brain. This means that your body talks to your brain much more than the brain talks to the body. And breathing is the only function that works both automatically and under your conscious control simultaneously. The only direct line between the conscious mind and the autonomic nervous system. When you exhale longer than you inhale, the vagus nerve is activated. Your heart rate slows. The amygdala receives a signal. There's no danger. The prefrontal cortex comes back online. Not a metaphor. Physiology. Right now. Try it. Inhale for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 6. One more time. You just sent a message to your nervous system in a language it understands better than any words.
Cognitive behavioral therapy says something very simple. So simple, in fact, that it's easy to miss. A thought is not a fact. Repeat that slowly. A thought is not a fact. It's an event, an electrochemical event in a neural network. It appears. It exists for a while. It passes. Like a cloud, like a sound, like a smell that was and is no longer there. A thought doesn't have to be true just because it's loud. A thought doesn't have to define you just because it's repeated. A thought doesn't require action just because it's persistent. But in chronic anxiety, we do something special with our thoughts. We believe them. Automatically, unconditionally. It's as if there's no space between the thought's emergence and its acceptance as truth. CBT creates this space. Not by force, not by arguing with the thought, not by trying to replace it with a more positive one. Simply by pausing. I notice the thought that. 5 words. 5 words create distance between you and the content of the thought. You don't deny the thought. You don't fight it. You simply notice it. Like you notice the weather outside. It's there. It's real. But you don't have to go out in the rain just because it's raining.
There's a word worth knowing. Interoception. It's the ability to hear your body from the inside, not from the outside, not as an observer, from the inside. Feeling your heartbeat without touching your chest, warmth or cold in your stomach before you name the emotion, tension in your shoulders that's been there for hours, unnoticed. Most people with chronic anxiety are at one of 2 extremes, either hyperinteroception. They hear every signal from body and interpret it as a threat, a slightly faster heartbeat, a heart attack, a tightening of the stomach, a catastrophe. Or hypointeroception, a complete disconnection from the body. I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know if I'm hungry. I don't know if I'm tired. The body has become alien. Healthy interoception is somewhere in between. Listen to the body, without panic, without interpretation. Simply notice. Here is the sensation. It is here. It does not require immediate explanation. Right now, if you allow yourself, where in the body do you feel this moment? Not what you think about it. Where do you feel it? Chest, belly, throat, shoulders. Simply notice, without judgment, without correction. This is the first language of the body, the language that was yours before all others.
Peter Levine, a neurobiologist, was observing animals in the wild, and he noticed something strange. Animals that had survived an encounter with a predator after the danger had passed began to tremble intensely, their entire bodies. It's not fear, it's not weakness, it's completion. The animal's nervous system literally shook itself, releasing residual activation that was no longer needed. And after this tremor, the animal calmly walked away. No trauma, no flashbacks, no chronic anxiety. Simply, it completed the cycle, and then it moved on. Humans have forgotten how to do this. We stop trembling, we clench our jaws, we tell ourselves, hold on, don't show it, pull yourself together. And the reaction gets stuck, unfinished, frozen halfway. Levine's body is a somatic experience. It knows how to complete. It just needs permission. Permission to tremble, permission to cry, permission to feel what has been forbidden to feel for so long. Not to relive it, but to finally pass it and come out the other side, where the body remembers that it knows how to complete, that it knows how to return to peace, that peace is its natural state, not anxiety, peace.
Peter Levine developed a technique. It's called the pendulum, and it's very simple. So simple, in fact, that at first it seems like it couldn't possibly work. But it does, because it works with the way the nervous system actually works. Here's the idea. You don't have to go straight into the pain. You don't have to dive into anxiety to heal it. You need to swing, like a pendulum, from a place of heaviness to a place of relief, and back, and again. Find in your body right now the place where there's tension, discomfort, heaviness. Just find it. Don't fix it. Just notice it. Now find another place. The place where you feel now is relatively neutral, or even a little good. Perhaps your palms. Maybe your feet are on the floor. Maybe there's warmth in your chest. Found it? Now slowly, shift your attention from the heavy place to the neutral one. Stay there for a few seconds. Feel the difference. Now, if you want, return to the heavy place, just for a moment, and back to the neutral one. This is the pendulum. Each swing discharges the accumulated activation a little, not immediately, not completely, but with each swing, the nervous system learns to move between states, learns that the heavy place is not the whole of reality, that nearby there is always a place where it's easier. Always.
There are places inside you where anxiety doesn't reach, not because you're hiding, but because they're real. A memory of a place where you felt good, not perfect, just good. A quiet morning with coffee, a view from the window you love, the smell after the rain, the feel of warm water, a moment when you laughed for real. Neuroscience calls this a resourceful state. And here's what's important. When you truly remember such a moment, not think about it, but feel it, your brain activates the same neural networks that were activated then. Not a copy, not a simulation, the same networks. The body doesn't know the difference between a memory and an experience. If a memory is vivid, the body experiences it as if it were alive. This is a neural anchor, a point in the nervous system that knows what safety feels like, and to which you can return at any moment. Right now,
Allow yourself to remember one such place. Don't rush. Let it come on its own. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What kind of light is there? Stay in it for a few seconds. This isn't escapism. This is neurobiology. You've just activated a safety anchor. And every time you do this, the anchor gets deeper, more reliable, more accessible.
You tell yourself a story. Every day, every hour, almost every minute. A story about who you are. A story about what happened. A story about what it means. Most people didn't choose their story. It was created from fragments of other people's words, from the interpretations of a child's mind, from moments when no one explained what was happening, and you explained it to yourself, as best you could. As best you could. And this story became a fact, unnoticed. I'm an anxious person. I can't cope. Something's wrong with me. I feel too much. I'm not strong enough. It's not true. It's a narrative. And narratives change. Neuroscience shows that when the story about oneself changes, the neural patterns that support it literally change. A new story creates new connections. Not because positive thinking works, but because the brain is organized around narrative. It is literally built to connect events into a story. And if the story changes, the way it connects everything else changes. A new story doesn't deny the past. It includes it. No. There's something wrong with me. I've adapted to very difficult conditions. I feel too much. I have a very sensitive nervous system. It was difficult. It's also a gift. Same facts. Different story. Different brain.
There's a reason why people rock their babies. Not because it's traditional, because it works. Rhythmic movement is one of the most ancient regulators of the nervous system. Even before birth, you heard rhythm, the beat of your heart. Step by step. Inhale. Exhale. Rhythm was the first language of safety. And the nervous system remembers this, always. That's why people with anxiety rock, pace around the room, drum their fingers, chew, bounce their legs. It's not weird. It's self-healing. The body itself knows what it needs. A monotonous rhythm activates the vagus nerve, synchronizes the hemispheres of the brain, lowers cortisol levels, puts the nervous system into a state of regulated presence. Not sleep, not excitement. This is precisely the state in which healing is possible. That's why this video is so slow. That's why the voice doesn't change tempo. That's why the music has no rhythm to follow. It's not style, it's therapy. Monotony is not boredom. It's permission for the nervous system to finally stop scanning, stop looking for the next threat, stop being on guard, and just be in rhythm, safe, right now.
Kristen Neff, a researcher, spent years studying one simple question. What happens in the brain when a person treats themselves with kindness, not others, to themselves? The results surprised many. When you treat yourself with compassion, as a friend, as someone you love, the brain's caregiving system is activated. Oxytocin is released. Cortisol decreases. The parasympathetic system is activated. The body literally calms down. Physiologically, not because you've convinced yourself that everything is fine, but because it received a signal. There's someone kind nearby, and that someone is you. Most people with anxiety do the opposite. In times of difficulty, they attack themselves. Oh, come on. Again. Enough. Others cope. Pull yourself together. And every word like that is cortisol. It's a threat activation. It's a signal to the nervous system, danger. Self-criticism doesn't motivate. That's a myth. Self-criticism is stress. And the nervous system, which is already chronically stressed, doesn't need another source of threat. Try it right now. Remember something you're struggling with right now. And instead of the usual, well, what are you doing? Tell yourself what you would say to someone you love. Just try. It's hard. For many people, this is the hardest thing we do today. But it's here, in this small shift, from attack to kindness, that the nervous system begins to believe that the world is safe. Because at least one voice in it, your own, is finally on her side.
Daniel Siegel, a psychiatrist, talks about integration. This word means more than it seems. Integration is when different parts begin to work together. Not to merge, not to lose oneself. Working together. The left hemisphere loves words, logic, consistency. It wants to explain, to name, to organize. The right hemisphere lives in images, sensations, connections. It senses the whole before it understands the parts. With chronic anxiety, they speak different languages. The left hemisphere insists, you have to figure this out. The right hemisphere screams, I'm scared. And no one hears anyone. Integration is when the left says to the right, I hear you. I don't understand everything, but you're not alone. And the right hemisphere finally calms down a little, because being heard is safety. This video is an attempt to speak to both hemispheres simultaneously. Images are for the right. Neuroscience is for the left. Rhythm and voice are for the part that is older than both hemispheres, for the body, which simply wanted for someone to finally say it all, out loud, slowly, without judgment. You hear it now, and your brain, both hemispheres, hear it too.
Anxiety lives in two places. In the past, where something went wrong. In the future, where something might go wrong. But there is one place anxiety cannot enter. The present moment. Right now. Not in a second. Not a second ago. Now. In this particular moment, is there a real threat right now? Not imagined, not remembered, not assumed. Real. Here. Now. Most often, no. Most often, right now, you are in a room. Your body is breathing. Something surrounds you. You can feel something. This is the practice of presence, not meditation in the Buddhist sense, not a special technique. Simply returning to what is right now. Again, and again, and again. Every time the mind wanders to the past or future, return gently, without judgment. Here, to this sound, to this sensation, to this moment. The nervous system cannot worry about what is happening right now. It can only worry about what was or will be. And this is the simplest and most profound medicine. Presence. Right now. You are here.
When the mind goes, the body remains. Always. This is not a metaphor. As long as you're alive, the body is here, breathing, feeling, connecting with the world. And the body has 5 doors, 5 ways to return from the head to here. The first door is sight. Find right now 5 things you see. Don't judge them. Just notice. Form, color, light. The second door is hearing. 4 sounds. The quietest ones, those that are usually beyond attention. The third door is touch, 3 sensations, the fabric under your hands, the air temperature, the weight of your body on the surface. The fourth door is smell, 2 smells. What is the air like right now? Is there warmth or cold in what you're breathing in? The fifth door is taste, 1 taste, simply what is. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's called the grounding technique, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It works because sensory experience is always present tense. You can't smell yesterday's smell. You can't touch tomorrow's fabric. Sensory experience is only now, and the nervous system, having received enough signals from the present, begins to believe it is in the present, and not in the past, and not in the future, here, where it is safe.
While you sleep, your brain works. It doesn't rest. It works. It does what it can't do during the day. During deep sleep, the glymphatic system washes the brain. Literally. Cerebrospinal fluid passes through brain tissue, washing out toxins, byproducts of daytime metabolism, beta amyloid, substances associated with neurodegeneration. The brain cleanses itself. Only at night, only during sleep. During REM sleep, the brain processes emotions. It takes daytime experiences and separates the emotional charge from the memory itself. In the morning, the same event, but without the same pain. This is called emotional reprocessing in sleep mode. And that's why chronic insomnia is so closely linked to anxiety. They feed off each other. Anxiety interferes with sleep. Lack of sleep increases anxiety. But there is a way out of this cycle. Not a pill. Not effort. Safety. The nervous system falls asleep only when it receives enough signals it's safe here. Here you can let go of control. Here you can stop scanning. And everything we've done today is preparation for this signal. Your nervous system is already a little quieter than at the beginning of this video. Already a little closer to the state in which real sleep is possible. Real restoration. Real reprogramming. Let it happen.
We're almost done. Almost. But not quite. Because this is not a video that ends. This is a video that continues. Inside you. In the way you exhale in a minute. In the way you go to bed tonight. In the way you wake up tomorrow. And remember, or not, but something will be a little different. The nervous system doesn't change from understanding. It changes from experience. And you just spent time in experience. In the experience of a safe voice. In the experience of a slow rhythm. In the experience of someone. Even a scream. Even a sound. Talking to you. As if you mattered. Because you matter. Not because you've achieved something. Not because you've mastered it. Not because I've become different. But simply because you are you. The nervous system that suffered. The body that carried. The mind that searched. All of this deserves kindness. Not someday. Now. And the last thing I'll tell you, before I fall silent. This is not an instruction. Not a task. Not a call to action. It's simply, you've mastered today. Not life. This moment. This choice. To stop. To be. To allow something to reach you. It was courageous. Quiet. And courageous. And now, silence. Just silence. It's yours. Stay in it for as long as you need. It's in no hurry. And you? Don't rush either.